income not owned by anybody but operated by this nonprofit, which means that any of the money that comes into the nonprofit cannot go out to an owner, cannot go out to an individual. It only can be used to support the operations of this cafe. So it can be used to pay the salary of somebody who works here, but there can't be any profit that a single person takes out. So it's operated by a board of directors, and what Dina is doing is paying income tax as an individual. If it were switched over to a nonprofit, then it's a corporation, and it would has an income tax form to fill out that if it has business income, might have to pay some taxes on it, but might not, depending on how that got structured. But it would file a tax return as a nonprofit agency. The board of directors, whether it's 3 people or 10 people or 15 people, have the responsibility for running the corporation. So they might hire a director, and then the director hires the rest of the staff, or they might say, well, we're going to have 3 staff people, so we'll hire all 3 of them. But the board of directors has the responsibility for running the corporation, ensuring that the corporation does only legal things and does only things that nonprofits can do. But nonprofits can run cafes, can run bookstores, can do all kinds of things. You just can't take the profit out like you would if you were individual. And then they're responsible for filing with the state of Oregon and filing a tax return every year. What am I missing?
You're talking 501c3.
No, I'm not talking 501c3. There's 2 different, you organize in the state of Oregon as a nonprofit agency. You're a state organization, and particularly when you start out and you're small, you don't have to go for the federal 501c3. It's a fairly simple form to file in Oregon and become a nonprofit corporation. Then if you decide you want to be a federal tax-exempt organization, tax-exempt meaning somebody can give you a donation and they can take that off their taxes. If you're just a nonprofit in Oregon, if somebody gives you a donation, they don't get it taken off their taxes. Generally, there's some ways around that, but generally you can't do it. So to be a 501c3 used to be sort of easy. Now it's really pretty hard because the IRS has kind of come down on too many 501c3s, and most people are not getting through without about a $500 fee and some attorney time to make it happen. But to just run as a nonprofit cafe with a board of directors and doing the operations, file with the state of Oregon, and that can happen pretty easily.
Well, since I'm going to run here, a question in filing to the state. Does the board have to fill out paperwork and everything and take it to the state and get approved and then get financing to initially start the program here, or how does that work?
They don't have, the board has to incorporate itself and file articles of incorporation and probably some bylaws saying it's how it's going to work, but the board does that. Then they file it with the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State sends you back a certificate of incorporation as a nonprofit. You don't have to have any money at that point.
You don't actually have to have any board members yet either. You can file for nonprofit status.
Just incorporators, that's right.
Yeah, just without having had your board members.
As a group?
Yeah, well, we could get online right now and fill out the paperwork and send it in.
Right, it's that easy.
There isn't a small fee. But the only thing...
It's $10, $20, $25.
Yeah, but the thing is if you don't have the 501c3 status, which you're right, it is more complex than it used to be, but it is doable, is that then you're prohibited from applying for and getting certain grants that would sustain a place like this, which I think would be invaluable, and you're prohibited from doing any kind of fundraising. Well, I mean, you can do it, but people are not going to want to give money if they aren't going to get the benefit. So the 501c3 piece is pretty important, but it's fairly simple to just apply for nonprofit status.
So you could be a sole proprietor, that's what Dina is now. You could be a partnership, we're not talking about that. Then the next easiest thing to be is a nonprofit corporation in the state of Oregon, and then the next one that gets you many more benefits is the 501c3. But you have to, even to get the 501c3, you have to be a nonprofit in Oregon first.
So there's initial
initial
process that you go through.
Right. And through any of those, you don't have to get financing. Now, what can you do without financing? But you don't have to get financing. You know, you could have $100 or you could have $1,000, but you don't have to have a certain amount of money to do that.
Well, no, what I meant by financing was to get grants or something like that to start it. I'm not talking about
You have to have
individual
the
dollars here.
501c3. Unless you have someone that's really nice, for example, with my organization that I belong to, we had a benefactor that gave us the seed money to start so we could have a paid executive director for 6 months until the whole process was done, because it took about 6 months for the whole process to be done. So there would, that would be ideal, but it can be done. I'm not the executive director. That would be someone, Dina. See, she already is the executive director.
And that's a whole other discussion. But Wendy, go ahead.
I have sort of a sideways question that's not A or B, but it's one thing I was wondering is if there's another organization in the community that could, rather than having to start from scratch, because there are a lot of organizations, if there's someone who could pick up on the vision and take up, and do
That
it.
already has the
That already
501c3
has
status.
has the infrastructure.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Maybe an
It's just something
ally.
that came to
The
mind.
Chamber of Commerce has done this in the past, because I know when we set up that computer recycling center, we came under that umbrella of their 501c3. We had separate books, so we were using their status.
So have you looked into that?
I have not, I've thought about it, but what I did is set this first meeting. This is a time for everybody else to give input on that, and I think there's maybe some potential options there that I can discuss with people to see if they want to go that direction. I think the first thing I wanted to have this meeting for was to say, is the idea even realistic, and is the idea supported, and is it something that we should move forward on finding a way for this place to continue to exist? And I already feel really encouraged by the comments when we just did introductions. So let's we can continue the discussion. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, Gene, but didn't I read somewhere that your organization, Human Solutions, was going to be the 501c3 for the Rosewood coffee shop? So this seems like a model that's already been established. I don't know whether you want to get 10,000 coffee shops under your belt.
Well, you would be an expert at it. Why recreate the wheel?
What we have said with Rosewood, and are very happy to do that with Rosewood, is that Rosewood is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they're saying, okay, we will get some grants, and the grants can come because Human Solutions is a 501c3, so we would accept the grants that the Rosewood Initiative will put together. We'll accept those grants with our 501c3, and then Shay and some others will be the people in charge, and they will tell us how they want those grants to be spent, and we'll spend them exactly that way. So we're not operating the Rosewood Cafe, we're just being the fiscal agent. And Human Solutions is happy to do that, and we've talked with a number of groups about doing that, and we're happy to do that.
And I'm open to talking to Jean further about that. I think that Jean will indicate she would be happy to be about it. So
How would you transfer the assets that Dina has in this business to a nonprofit?
I think we might be taking on some of that.
I think Dina could either donate them or sell them to a nonprofit.
Did I see somebody else have a question? Oh, Shay.
One of the things that surprised me actually when we initially started talking to the county was the interest in sort of support and seed money on a small scale. They're under $5,000. But when you mention things like the social service clients are being served here, that begins to raise the question of like one of the departments was Department of County Human Services, who said, yeah, we want to help with development and the opportunity to facilitate people being successful in the community. So they were very interested, and that might be a conversation. I don't know if you're interested in having this in any way, a police contact office or a probation and parole contact office, but that's another area that in Rosewood, probation and parole officers will be meeting with people there as well. And from having been a PO, it doesn't sound as austere as sort of meeting with people who are already succeeding, getting together, sitting down and having coffee and talking about how you doing, is everything going okay, what's really happening, not the sort of frightening idea that people often get. It's more like encouraging the the continued support of people who are doing well. And so those are some areas that frankly, I was surprised when the county said, yeah, we want to get behind that and explore alternate perspectives. So maybe those are options if that's something that the community wants to explore.
Which brings up I'd ask you and I'd ask you too, Marvin. You're dealing with this area, Marvin. I don't know how strongly you deal with this area, but is there really a demographic market and a need for both of these? I know you said you didn't think competition would be a real problem, but I think none of us in this room really understand that because we don't go down to 162nd or 84th often enough.
I think
Sheltered lives.
I personally think I think both can